Spicerer's Kitchen. On today's episode, we're going to look at ramen. And what non-Japanese and non-Asians think of ramen is what I have right here as an example. It might say Maruchan or Nissin, which are two popular brands of instant ramen. And those brands, you bring water to a boil, you drop your noodles, in 3 minutes it's done, you add your packet of seasoning. Everybody remembers spending 39 cents on those packages. And if they were really hungry, they would cook 2 packages. And then years later, you would realize that you could also eat the dry ramen noodles as a snack. And you can also cook with them and use them in recipes calling for crispy noodles. This is instant ramen. We're not going to look at this. When a Japanese person talks ramen, they're talking the real thing. And they're talking ramen from a ramen shop. That is what we're going to do today, where we're going to show you how to make better than instant ramen. This takes approximately a half an hour, give or take. It's very easy to do, and it's quick. And these are the ramen noodles themselves. They come from a Japanese supermarket. You wouldn't be able to find them at a normal supermarket. These are fresh ramen noodles. These cook faster than the instant ramen. These cook in a minute and a half. We're also going to do ramen. We're going to do a ramen egg, which we're going to boil. And the meat for our ramen today. This is thinly sliced pork belly, and this is thinly sliced ribeye steak. These come from a Japanese market, and they are sliced for sukiyaki. They also have a slice for shabu shabu. They have cut for yakiniku, which is a really thick piece. So you can find all different kinds of cuts of meat and whatever you like to choose. This is my preferred, half beef, half pork. Because your traditional ramen is going to be char siu. But we're making instant ramen, better than instant ramen today. Now we have to make ramen broth. And we have to make instant ramen broth. To flavor our ramen broth, one of the things, the aromatics we're going to use is we're going to use the dried out green ends of the scallions. I've slivered the rest of the scallions, which you're going to use on top. We're also going to use a clove of garlic and 3 slices of ginger. You don't even have to worry about peeling it. And then the scallions we're going to use on top. The other product we're also going to use is dried scallion, also known as negi in Japanese. We're going to use a little sprinkle of this. This is going to add a perky flavor. Next, for our broth, we're going to use some controversial ingredients here. This is chicken bouillon. As you can see on the package, it's a off-white powder. This is the secret to this recipe because it's quick. And it's easy to use and has the right salt level. And this has no MSG in it, which is what makes it good. The other ingredient we're going to use is hon dashi. I'm going to reach over here and grab the little container of hon dashi so you can see what it looks like. Hon dashi is bonito soup stock. It's instant Japanese dashi. It's very easy to use. And it's little balls, and they dissolve in hot water. So we're going to be using that as well, and that's going to give us our flavoring. Also for our flavoring, we're going to slide over here. The other ingredient we're going to use is this. This is onion extract. It's a Japanese product. It's like onion infused oil. Now we're going to slide back here. We're also going to make a tare, which is the flavoring for our ramen. And we're going to be using a combination of jumai sake. This is cheap but good drinkable sake, because that's what you want. If you can't drink it, don't cook with it. We're also going to use some Japanese soy sauce. We're also going to use a tiny bit of mushroom flavored dark soy sauce. This is Chinese soy sauce. And the key ingredient here is Kikkoman aji mirin. This is the key ingredient to a lot of Japanese dishes and sauces. It's delicious stuff, and that's what we're going to use to make our tare mixture. And this process is going to take about a half an hour. It's pretty quick. So we're going to start this process. When we come back, I'll meet you in the kitchen, and we're going to start cooking our eggs and making our broth. So I will see you in a few minutes. Welcome back to the Spicerer's table. Here we are at the stove. And what I have done as a prerequisite is I've brought a pot of water to a boil. We're going to be cooking our eggs in there and our noodles. And these are 2 jumbo eggs. You can also use US graded large eggs or whatever size eggs you want. And what I have done with them is I've pricked them in the large end with a push pin, which releases the air bubble so that they won't crack when they are cooked. So we're going to drop these in here. And we're going to cook these for 8 minutes. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put 3 cups of water in this chartreuse evacy, or you can use a heavy saucepan. And we will turn this on too. And we're going to add our aromatics, our ginger, scallions, and garlic. Into the pot. We're also going to sprinkle over our hondashi granules and our chicken bouillon. We'll just give that a little stir. And this has to come to a boil. And while that happens, I'm going to get ready an ice bath for our eggs. So that when our eggs come out of the water, they're going to go into an ice bath, which will stop the cooking process. Very important that the eggs go into an ice bath or they will keep cooking. If you're not careful, they will keep cooking. So that's why we're going to use an ice bath. When the 8 minutes is up, just drop them in the ice bath and then they'll be very easy to peel. So we'll leave the ice bath set up. And as we can see, this is coming to a boil. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to make our tare mixture. And I'm going to bring over all of our ingredients to make our tare mixture. First of all, we have 4 tablespoons of Japanese soy sauce, 4 tablespoons of mirin, 4 tablespoons of sake, 2 teaspoons of onion extract, and this is a tablespoon of mushroom flavored dark soy sauce. The mushroom flavored dark soy sauce adds a mushroom flavor to the broth. And so that is at the ready here. Get rid of all of the rest of this stuff here. We can leave that here. Also going to get a little extra hot water so that when the eggs are done we can have more water in the pot to cook our noodles. We have to cook our noodles in plenty of water. And we'll just replenish the pot with some hot water. Our broth is starting to come up. We have 4 minutes on our egg. Just waiting for our broth to come up to temperature here. And then when our broth comes up to temperature and hits a boil, we're then going to stir in our tare mixture. And then we're going to bring it down to a simmer and let it just simmer away. And cooking these eggs, you can cook the egg to the likeness that to the doneness that you like. I like an 8-minute egg. It leaves the yolk a little bit soft, but it's manageable in terms of peeling. I've seen many ramen eggs that are 5-minute, 10-second eggs. They're really hard to peel. And the traditional ramen eggs are traditionally cured. They're cooked for the specified time, and then they're peeled, and then they go into a mixture that may or may not have soy sauce depending on how you like it, plus salt and a few other ingredients, usually sugar and maybe mirin, and it literally cures and gets an almost gelatinous texture to it. Since this is quick ramen, we are not going to do a cured egg. In the future, we're going to do an authentic ramen recipe, and I will show you how to make the cured ramen eggs, and it'll be probably a 2-day process. And we're also going to have the Pho Experiment 2.0, Pho Experiment 2.0. And I'm going to show you how to make Vietnamese beef and rice noodle soup. So we'll stay tuned for that. Just waiting on our broth to come up here, and it's starting to bubble, so I'm going to grab this ladle to give it a stir. And now that it's bubbling, we're going to stir in our mixture. And now we need to bring it back to a bubble. It doesn't need to reach a full boil, just so that it bubbles, so that you know that it's hot. And then we're going to turn it down and just leave it basically at a bare simmer. And then at the end of the process, we'll remove all the aromatics before we serve. And right before we serve, we'll actually bring it to a boil and pour it boiling hot over our our made up ramen bowls with the noodles. We're now at 51 seconds, so we're going to get ready to plunge our eggs into the ice bath. Make sure you have the ice bath ready to go. Now that we're seeing some bubbles here in our broth, we can set this down. I'm going to turn it down to about 2. It just needs to stay warm at this point in the process. And now I'm going to stop the timer here. It's about to go off. And we're going to pull our eggs out of the water and just plunge them into the ice bath and just leave them be. And now we'll put some extra water into the pot. Okay. And now we'll bring our eggs over here. And And when we come back, I'm going to show you how to peel the ramen eggs once they're cooled off. And we're going to talk ramen noodles. Welcome back to Better Than Instant Ramen. Now we're going to deal with our eggs. And we're going to pull them one at a time out of the water. This is our cool egg that gets shocked in this ice water. So we're going to just take the back of a large soup spoon, and you want to crack it little cracks all over. Rotate the egg and continue cracking. You want little cracks all over, and there's a skin, a membrane that we have to pull. We're going to take on that. We're going to pull. If you did it right, you should be able, the membrane and this peel should come right off. And then just dip it back in the ice water to rinse. And now we'll proceed with our second egg, like so. Tap it all over, little cracks all over is the ideal way to do it. Because you want it cracked all over. If it's not cracked, then you could end up tearing into the egg itself. So starting at the top, you start pulling. And if a little of the egg tears, don't worry about it. Don't apologize. Like Julia Child says, never apologize. Just continue on. So there's our two beautiful eggs here. Bring our egg shells here. Actually, you're going to get a little knife here, and we're going to cut into the egg so I can show you what it looks like on the inside. I'm just going to take a paring knife here. We're going to cut into one of these eggs. I've seen recipes that often call for a piece of fishing line to cut the eggs. See, this is near perfect. I'm going to scrape that little bit of yolk back into the egg here. It's a hair warm, but that's perfect egg right there. The other egg we're going to save, but this is going to be our egg that we're going to use to finish our ramen. I'll put it here. Okay. Get rid of the ice bath. Next we'll talk our ramen noodles. I've opened up the package. I'm doing a little more than one serving of ramen noodles just because I like the noodles and they're delicious. This is what they look like. They're very easy to cook. It's going to take about a minute and a half in boiling water, which our water is boiling right now, so we're going to get ready to cook our ramen noodles. When we come back, we will cook our ramen noodles. And we will also cook our meat at the same time. I will see you in a few. Welcome back. Our water is boiling now, and I've switched our water with our ramen broth, and our ramen broth's in the back. Now we're going to cook our noodles, and the noodles takes a minute and a half, so I'm going to set a timer. So that we can cook them fast. Also, what I have set up right here, I will put it in the camera shot when we're ready to use it, is the ice bath. We're going to drop our noodles in an ice, chalk them in an ice bath quickly after they are cooked, which is going to stop the cooking process so they keep their texture. So we're going to drop them in and we'll start our timer. And I'm using this large fork for this, but you could use tongs or chopsticks. This cooks very quickly, so don't walk away, and it's good to just keep it moving as it cooks. We'll pull our ice bath up here. We're going to drop this directly into our ice bath. This is a minute and a half quicker than instant ramen noodles. And instant ramen noodles, they have been deep fried. They're fried into a specific, into that square shape, so that when they are cooked in the boiling water, when you cook them, they separate out and they become cooked, but they have a different texture. This has a much better texture. Not saying instant ramen is a bad thing. I eat it on occasion and holds a sentimental place in my heart. But this tastes 1,000 times better. We're looking 10 seconds left here. And then we'll be able to pull them. That's it. Now we're going to pull them out of the water into the ice bath quickly here, which will stop the cooking process. Got a straggle noodle here. There we go. It's important to put it in the ice bath. This will also refresh the noodles. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now we can pull them out of the ice bath, and I'll throw them back into this bowl, here, into this dish here. Next process is we're going to cook the meat. We don't need the ice bath anymore, so next process is we're going to cook the meat. And the meat is going to cook in the water. We're actually going to start with our beef. And just take the beef strips and place them in the basket. I'm using this pasta strainer basket here, which is really easy to cook. You could also use a large strainer. If I can reach down, that is. Like this large basket. But this pasta strainer works out well. So you just drop the basket into the water. The meat cooks very quickly, within seconds. It takes less than 30 seconds to cook the meat because it's so thinly sliced. You don't want to see any tinge of pink here. And that's that. And then we'll place that back on that plate. Now we're going to put the pork in here. The pork is going to go more opaque is what you're looking for here, because there is a lot of fat on this, and you're going to see it curl as well. So just keep tossing it around and you will see the meat go gray, and that means that it's pretty much done. And that's the pork. When we come back, we're going to be at the table, and I'm going to show you how to put this all together in and make the ramen bowl itself. So I'll see you soon. Welcome back to the Spicerer's table. And here I am at the table. This is just to show you, but this whole process could be done in the kitchen and you can make up your bowls. We have our ramen broth, and I've brought it back to a boil here. I've removed all the aromatics out of it. And these are your choice of ramen bowl. This is pretty traditional, this shape of bowl. But I personally like this wider one because it allows you to fit more of your nice ingredients into your ramen. So we're going to put this one aside here. And we're going to start by building our ramen bowl. And we're going to take some of our noodles here. We're just going to place them on the bottom. Take a little bit here, and I'll just leave a little extra here. And now, before we do anything else, we're going to take our dried negi. And we're just going to put a little sprinkle on here. Next is our meat. And you want to arrange it pretty. We're going to put the beef to one side here. You want it to look pretty because you eat with your eyes. If you wanted to do all pork, that would be fine too. If you wanted to do chicken ramen, you could cook chicken. You just have to make sure that thinly sliced chicken that you are cooking has reached 165 degrees, so you just have to verify that portion of it because it is chicken. We're now going to slide our eggs on this side here and make sure they are yolk side up in the bowl. And then we have scallions. Lots of them. Just go wild here. And next we're going to ladle on our beautiful broth. And it needs to be boiling hot when you do this, because it needs to be really hot. Because whenever you're serving any type of soup, it needs to be hot. You will have a little broth left over, which can be used to make a little snack with those other noodles. Now I'm going to turn my burner off here. Check the gas just to be on the safe side. And this is your beautiful ramen noodles. It's quick, it's simple, it's delicious to eat, it's fun, and it's like you went to a ramen shop, but you made it at home. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and stay tuned soon where we're going to delve into Hungarian, Indian, and Vietnamese. Thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed cooking with me today. Peace out and keep it real. Perfect. Better than instant ramen noodles. You'll never go back to instant ramen noodles again. Enjoy.